Good afternoon. I call the July meeting of the Davenport Park and Recreation Advisory Board in session. May we have roll call, please?
Coiner, absent. Greeley, absent. Who, absent. Kefauver,
Here.
Meyer,
Here.
Peterson,
Here.
Powell,
Here.
Schertz, absent. Spratt here, Walker, absent, and Whitmire.
Here.
We have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. You have in your packet the minutes from our July meeting, our June meeting. No, it was July. This is the July meeting, last month's meeting, which was June. Take a minute and look it over, and I would certainly, if there are no questions from you, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I approve minutes.
Okay, thank you. A second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the June 16th minutes of the advisory board. Those saying yes indicate so.
Yes.
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 No or abstentions? The minutes are approved. Thank you. There is no one here today for public comment, and we have no old business. And today there is no formally scheduled new business, but we will, if there is something that you would want to speak about or address, we will do that in advisory time. And with that, we have our reports from staff, and our director, Chad, is enjoying vacation. I hope it's cool enough for him. Are there questions as we work through the staff reports? Under park operations, any questions or comments?
As far as the Vanderveer particularly, but both fountains, is that just literally like part problems, or is it a money problem? Because I mean, like the Vanderveer one in particular is a pretty iconic symbol of the Parks Department that it seems like some aldermen would be convinced to cough up some money if it was a money issue.
It was a staffing issue, to be honest. With challenges in staffing this year and some things that were very time sensitive, i.e. swimming pools, had to be opened, at a certain time. So that was the first challenge. Since then, we have been eliminating problems. We've pressurized pipes, we've dug up holes, we've, done a lot of those things that we have the capability of doing. We are at this point for Vanderveer of having to refill our holes, cement it back in. We're gonna recaulk all of the joints and cross our fingers and toes and hope it is operational. Dillon Fountain, we had a contractor ready to go to retile for us, and upon further pushing him, he's like, oh, sorry, I can't do that until fall. And, so we're like, well, that would have been nice to know a month or so ago. So we went to plan B on that one. We will be filling Dillon on Monday, and again, kind of crossing our fingers and toes and hoping we hold. So, but if those options don't hold, then yeah, we will be going to council and saying we need some money, because at this point it's beyond our capacity to fix.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? I had a circle around Showmobile Reservations. I'm curious, is there a cost to that, or are there limitations on who can request them? I guess I said it's up,
So yes, so we have a showmobile, which for those of you that don't know it, think of a trailer of a semi that pops open and is a stage. It's very popular. We do rent that to agencies within the immediate Quad Cities. So Davenport, Bettendorf, Rock Island, Moline. There is a fee for that, a $700 rental fee as well as a $300 deposit for a single day with $100 for each additional day. The challenge with that is if we try to set those and tear that up during work hours, but there are events that take place in city streets. So then I've got to find crews to come in at midnight and tear it down. So it's one of those things, one of the challenges with my workforce being limited by the number of hours that they can work. Anytime I have to have them come in at midnight on a Saturday to tear down the showmobile, then I have to not have them work hours during that week. So it just is kind of a snowball effect. While it's a fantastic service to the city, it's a challenge operationally for us.
Did you advertise that to agencies, or is it word of mouth that it's happened?
It's word of mouth, and it has just exploded.
Right.
I mean, it's great. I mean, it's down in Quinlan Court for Riverpalooza every Thursday night. Case I just used it for Rock Their Lot. It will be at the Mississippi Valley Fair. It's going to be at the Baptist Church on the hilltop. I mean, it's a great unit, and it has served us well. It's been with us 10 plus years, before Teresa came. So,
Longer than that.
so yeah, but it is.
I'm glad to have more information. I think it is awesome, and you've given us another perspective of what goes on. When we see it, we'll have to go clap our hands, right? And say, hooray, we see us again. Is there advertising? Is Davenport Park and Rec on the outside? Is that where that is? On the outside of the sides.
So yes, we have removed the interior logoing. It was the old logo, and we're trying to rebrand with city, the new branding. But also because, I want the agencies that rent it to get their due as well. So I want Riverpalooza to have that. It's not our event. It's our show wagon. It's not our event. So.
Awesome. That's great news.
As someone that has rented that thing for Hilltop festivals in the past, it's just an amazing value. Because we rented much smaller and worse stages for more money. So as far as and we've been guilty of putting it in the street as well and having people to have to come in early in the morning and stuff. But could there be an added charge, since it's so popular, for those off hours ones, to maybe encourage them to find a way to not have it be off hours or to just get more money?
Yeah, absolutely. Every fall and winter during our budget process, Teresa especially and Troy look at fees. So it is something that we can look at, absolutely.
Good. Other questions about that? We also have in our staff reports a recreation report. Are there questions or comments that you'd like to make with regard to that? Shall we move on? Okay. Revenue. Questions or comments, additional information? Leah?
Yes. Oops, sorry. I was just wondering how the Cosmic Golf was going. It says you have it opened, and then I was just wondering if it's been kind of popular or if we need to get word of mouth out more. When we went, it was fun. Wasn't it, Wendy?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cosmic Golf, we started it in just after the little demo we did. Weather's been really off and on, especially on Fridays and Saturday nights this summer. So last Saturday we had our first full night. We've been going on since we started, but we've had to cancel about every other one because of weather. some of the setup, it does need about a 5 hour ahead of time setup that we need to just start so we get back, and sometimes the weather's bad then, so we've called it because of the weather on the Friday afternoon hasn't been good enough for us to get all that electrical stuff set up in the rain. And then, but it's picking up, and it's been very popular. If you would ask anybody that went off the tee last Saturday, they were like, "Yeah, we hope they come back." And we're trying to provide more and more social aspects to it every time, as we find out what people like and what works, and the serving style and the music and things like that. So, very good. Thank you.
Is the facility where we were introduced, is it there, or is it moved?
Nope, same place so far. We haven't moved it from there, except we moved the targets up farther, closer. They were down. They're up more where they're more active and more easier to hit for beginners and things like that.
So how many do it at a time, wherever there is a tee spot?
Yeah, we have 10 spots.
Okay.
And then we charge by the half an hour, so you get kind of 30 minutes or 15 minutes segments to kind of play around for a little bit, then you can back up and go back in again, things like that.
So if I find a 6-iron again, I could go and pay 15 minutes or a half an hour to do.
Yep, absolutely. And you don't even have to bring a club. They'll hand you a club right there. Yeah, but they are a lot closer. Like I said, they're easier to hit. They're more interactive now, and we've tuned it up a little bit as we've gone.
If you haven't gone, it is a fun thing. So have fun, and Leah's children enjoyed. It dribbled a little ways, but they got the hang of it, and it was just amazing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yep, it'll be going again this Friday and Saturday night, weather permitting. So,
How's the revenue
for overall or from that?
from that?
It's good when we get a big crowd.
Are you keeping track of it?
We do have it tracked. I haven't looked it up yet, but it is tracked separately because of the time.
So you'll have that on your sheet, on
Because
your
the-
spreadsheet?
Excuse me?
You'll have that on your
Yeah,
spreadsheet?
yeah. I can
I mean, it's gotta
record
make
that.
sense what we're doing there.
Yep. I can record it easily. It's just like I said, we just had spotty crowds because of the weather, and then we've had to cancel a few times too. So
I have a question.
yes.
Do you guys accept, I was talking to some young kids about it from a high school, and they were like, do they accept Apple Pay and crypto coin? And I was like, to be honest, I don't know.
I don't
And that's
believe it.
really new. I know you guys are getting new
Yeah.
features for payment. So.
Sure. Cash or credit card? How's that? Right now, at this point.
Great. Anything else about that? Today, hot irons, right? Because they've been in the sun.
It's hot. It's hot today.
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
But the weather's been very good and very intermittent rains. Been keeping things from being dry, but hopefully it hasn't.
You just do that on weekends, correct?
It hasn't rained it rained out your days, but it has rained a lot on weekends, so it has. It's been a little off and on for that.
Thank you, Troy.
Thank you, folks.
Yeah. Challenges, we saw a list of challenges in our report. How are the staff openings going? Briefly, are we still? No.
We still
okay.
have them.
Still have them, yes. Yeah. That's the way it goes, I guess. It's unfortunate, so we have that. I had one question about the cancellation of the bags tournament, and that it went very well for setup, at Quinlan Court, more impromptu kind of thing. So what's the next step beyond a league if it's canceled again? Do you have
And it
plans?
will be. The sign-up was even extended a couple times. In order to run the league, we need enough time to put the tournament, leagues together. I have talked to a lot of friends that do bags at different places, and they said that we should start with the drop-in, just have them out there and maybe do a couple Mad Hatter tournaments, which are whoever shows up, we just do a tournament based on that many people. So we're going to do that. We're going to set it up and let people know that we're out there the bags will be out there. And then if we have enough, we'll do a Mad Hatter tournament, and then just start to develop the interest. And then at our roundtable this week, one of Ryan Devlin, who manages River's Edge, had suggested that we maybe start there, like indoor and during the winter when less people will have places to play. And one of the nights, it's kind of hard to find a night there that isn't already being used, but we could try to identify a night that would be popular and then kind of move it outside, because that's kind of what happens with our volleyball and stuff.
My observation down at River's Edge is there's an awful lot of adults that just sit at tables while their kids do their things. So
Yep.
I think it'd be excellent to get adults involved in most people like it and may not have tried it, but lots of sitting around. And
Yeah, no, for sure.
So I would support that idea.
Awesome.
Other challenges that we want to look at. Sure.
Are the pools still every other day? Because I know on the day of party or the youth fest, I thought I saw February's pool open, and then later I drove by Annie Whitmire and it looked like that was open, and so maybe not. Maybe there was just some activity at one of them that wasn't.
I'm trying to
officially
think.
open.
It's a Wednesday, so
It's still generally every other day.
yeah, it is every other day. There are lessons going on, so there may have been people at both pools in the morning.
Oh, okay. 'Cause,
So
yeah,
they may have been at lessons at February and then gone up the hill to Youth Fest,
Okay, that's probably what it was.
which was great, by the way. We've knock on wood, the weather's been really good at a lot of the events we've had in the beginning of July, and that's been very helpful for them being successful, I always say, but they were really well run and everything was great.
Moving on to updates, I just have one question that I hope you might have an answer to. Has there been any thought about having movies in the park at February and using that wonderful open grass space? And what might happen? Because there's lots of ways that I consider that an early learning campus kind of thing, and lots of families are accustomed to going either to childcare or using Fed. Just a question, possible.
Yes, we are often, there are a lot of movies in the park right now, throughout the library, the Riverfront. We were hosting two. One of them got postponed, and we did just set the date for that for the February one. We were going to have one at February. Much like the Showmobile that we were talking about earlier, though, it is a lot of manpower. Betsy can attest that it's a lot of manpower, and it is really late. It ends up being, especially in the summertime, the reason that there's not a lot of drive-ins that are successful is you have to be up until like 10 o'clock, 9:30 to get the movie to start. And since we're usually family friendly and that's what we're trying to accomplish, it's really hard to have those two things mesh. It's like one of those great theories that in practice is very, very difficult to pull off successfully. That said, we're going to try. We're going to try to do it like 3 times a year in the spring, summer, and fall, and just kind of piggyback onto other events. And February will be one of the sites for sure.
It'd be worth trying, I
Yeah,
think.
absolutely. And actually, we have one coming up, if you noticed,
Yeah.
at Annie Witt. But we are going to have the one that was postponed from February, in September, the same day as the Family Fun Day we have. And then we'll just be telling families later on, you can come back and we'll have activities and movies here.
Well, I think it's worth exploring.
Absolutely. We need to get one of those lens that you can just pop off. It is definitely not that, but it is very noticeable and very fun, and when it will be successful.
Speaking of party in the park, I hope you'll come with me to Duck
And me.
Creek. Yeah, Teresa and I will be there, so take it in, right? And I understand you would go around to where the tennis courts are. That nice open space is where parties in the park.
If you go in the regular entrance for Duck Creek and follow it around, you'll see us. The parties in the parks are pretty big. I've seen most of people at one or another, so.
Cool, great. Thank you for the reports. We've gotten some new information, and we'll go with that. Chris, would you like to report on the Riverfront Improvement Commission?
Yeah, we had a pretty brief meeting. It was mostly an online meeting because there wasn't really much, kind of like ours, there wasn't a whole lot of, there was no action items on the agenda. I passed along the talk about the dog park task force and told them if any of them were interested in being involved, get a hold of Chad. And then obviously Steve talked about all the events that we just talked about as far as Riverfront and Red, White, and Boom and all that. But otherwise, there wasn't a whole lot to report back to this. And then this coming Riverfront Improvement Commission meeting, I will be absent. So I can, if there's anything we need to pass along from our brief meeting, I'll send an email to Steve so he can pass it along.
Thank you very much. We do have an update under advisory time. We're moving on, but last meeting, recall in the minutes, we had two advisory board members who said they had interest in being part of a committee that will be formed to discuss dog park options. And Jerry is one of those, and Farah is going to give us an update on what has happened since last meeting.
We have Jerry, Anthony has joined our group as well as myself. We met the first time just to kind of address how we would kind of organize things, brainstorm a little bit. Sorry, we met yesterday. And Billy Fisher and Becca were able to join us. We just really kind of chatted about how to engage the public overall to get both dog parks and people who visit both dog parks involved. So we had discussed survey monkeys and things of that nature, just, you know, kind of jotting down a few things. I know there's been some interest from our visitors that kind of brought this to the forefront for us on teaming up with us so we can utilize them to get some feedback, as well as kind of how to structure to get the best results and ensure, you know, we are organized with our purpose as well as meeting with their concerns. I think we'll cover more on our next meeting, which Becca will send out the notes and organize the next meeting. We talked a little bit about a regional dog park versus more of a community dog park, kind of the difference in those, and even maybe at some point future possibilities and options. That was really about it, unless Jerry remembers anything extra from the first meeting. I don't know.
No, Chad basically turned it over to Becca to get organized. And I've had all three of those people call me, and I discussed that with them, and I told them to make sure that they contacted Becca. So that way we're all on the same page. And they're all excited about being involved in it. And so as soon as she gets that organized, we can sit down with everyone and really come out with an idea of exactly what everything, how things should be done, and in what procurement of time-wise, what could be done during that time. Right. So it looks to me like we're just kind of waiting for Becca. Am I correct?
That's good.
Becca should be getting something to us here within the next week. I know she was off and Chad was off to try to get.
Well, we were supposed to have the meeting on the 20th.
We did.
Yeah. And did you have it?
Yeah.
Where was I?
Golfing.
I missed that meeting. Why did I miss that meeting when I was told that I wasn't sure we were going to have it or not? I guess
Well,
that's what concerns
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yes, gotcha. No, you'll get there.
We definitely, going forward, we will make sure we have everybody, make sure everybody's schedules match up and everybody has the information. I know that Becca is also going to be providing information between us three, so we can kind of keep each other in the loop with the way things are going on. Chad wasn't present, even though I know he was stepping away a little bit. We just kind of did some recap because Becca was back in the office of what we had discussed, and that was really about it. No real big details except for the 3 people wanting to get on board. And there may be one other, supposedly. I don't know names of anybody, but that, honestly, that was really it. It was really brief. We wanted to wait for you to ensure that we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah, I thought I was chairman of it, I guess. That's what I was kind of questioning, why we had a meeting and I didn't know about it. Except for the fact that we talked the first meeting that we're going to have a meeting on the 20th. And then the emails that I got that Becca had sent to these people, saying the fact that we'll make contact with you. And so I had those 3 people contact her
Okay,
and about 2 or 3 days ago.
okay.
So I was waiting for her email to come out, saying the fact when that was going to happen.
Well, we've got
So
that.
I must have misunderstood.
Yeah. Well, we've got it straight now, so we'll move forward. We know the 3 of you will be reporting, and we'll get communications
So
straightened out.
is there another date now? Who's going to set that date up?
Becca will, and then we'll decide them,
Who's we?
us 3, we'll decide them that day.
So why don't I get a hold of Becca? And I'll have Becca send an email to whoever was involved so they know when it's going to be the next meeting and where. How's that sound? We'll leave that up to her since she's the one that's coming from the park board. And when we go to that date that she has that are set up, then we can all discuss what we're going to do forward. That make sense?
Sounds good. Great.
Okay.
I'm glad we got that straightened out.
I'm glad I got myself straightened out.
Good enough.
Thank you.
Yes. Under things in advisory work, one of my thoughts was that if we have opportunities now during advisory time to share thoughts on current and future needs for our parks based on maybe some ideas that we've seen in our travels, possible our interests and investigations. And so we have time now to maybe share some thoughts. One of the things that I want to make sure that we have is follow up on the active play area that's being developed in Credit Island. You know, more information. I don't know if we've formally, the thoughts are there, but just an overview, that might be what we need, and maybe even knowing where we would look if we wanted to investigate on our own. That I saw some pictures, but I'm not sure the pictures are what ultimately will happen. So what's going on there? That's one thing I'd like.
So the Credit Island Nature Play was presented at a ward meeting, second ward, whatever ward Credit Island in, sorry, I'm second, sorry, thank you. Yeah. And we got feedback. We also got feedback from city staff. Obviously, Credit Island is a floodplain, so there's some things, I's we needed dotted and T's crossed from that side of things. So at this point, it is in Shives court. They are working on finalizing some concepts based on the feedback that they received, doing a cost estimate, and then at that point, once that's done, Chad can email it to you guys if you have interest, you know, so you can see prior to it going out to bid. We are hopeful for a fall, winter bid with, depending on supply chain, a spring install.
Good. I guess I'm speaking primarily for myself. I would love to see how that proposal shapes up, so it is not something that is foreign to us if we would be contacted, and Credit Island is one of our babies, so that's how I would stand. So others, voicing support to what Betsy has said, that would be wonderful. Are we good? We'd like that? Chris?
I always like seeing pictures of planned playgrounds.
Right. No flood, right? No flood to, to happen then. Maybe lots of bugs, but no flood. Do you have, let's go back to thoughts on current and future needs. Are there other pieces that there's information missing that you'd really like to know more about, or have thoughts or ideas that you'd like to share with us on the board this time? Jerry?
So how did our survey go
The
that we did on the monkey survey that we sent in to you?
communication survey.
Yeah.
All board members did not fill out that survey, and we got very little feedback on additional information that we would like to see, or you guys would like to see from us. So Chad's kind of reviewing that, but you guys were pretty consistent. Y'all like the spring tours. You think we're doing a great job. There were some statistics that we were kind of asked for to include, but other than that, it wasn't a very well participated survey.
My suggestion would be is if they have that, and we're part of the auxiliary board, I think we should follow through and make sure that that's done. Otherwise, what's the reason for us?
Yeah.
So whoever didn't do that, make sure that they do. Although I was late, but I did do it.
The survey is now closed, so if you have any additional feedback or comments or anything you'd like to see or see less of, please send those comments directly to Chad and I via email, please.
Through email.
Yes, please.
I just think it's a good thing, and that way we can question you, about what you thought about what we said about you, right?
Oh, golly.
Did I confuse you? Oh, okay.
Anything else in advisory? Yeah, Betsy.
So just to remind you, our budget kickoff was just announced, so staff will be attending a budget kickoff the second week in September. Following that will be the capital improvement program submissions as well. So to Wendy's point of things that you would like to see, please make sure you get those ideas to us, because we have a fairly short turnaround after that budget meeting to get those inputted. We will have Park Development Fund. I have every reason to believe we will have Park Development Fund, which is kind of a separate baby. But these large ticket items, that we want to have standalone, that we, $500,000, $1 million plus. If you guys are dreaming that big, those are things that we need to know, so those can be submitted no later than the middle of October.
So we have until when to, again, report back?
So our requests have to be submitted no later than the middle of October, but I just can't say, I want to add a clubhouse at Red Hawk. I need to be able to prove what I need, what my business plan is, what the cost estimates are, and it can't be just, I think it's going to be this amount. I need to have talked to a Russell Construction or an Estes or somebody that could give me a solid number. So please don't wait until the last minute, because there is some behind the scenes work that staff has to do prior to those being submitted. Obviously, dream big. But we do compete against streets and sewers and police and fire and, everybody else. But that, just to kind of put that out there for you, because when we only meet monthly, the next time we will meet will be August, and then we're going to be right on that.
I
that
put
whole
a note
process.
down saying, maybe under advisory time to ask again at August and September meetings, keep that flowing, and our challenge will be to come up with, no idea is off the board right now, I don't know, I've suggested zip lines at Credit Island, and maybe this is my time to do that, so, I think I might just put it there for discussion, Way to go, huh? Any other comments and things, huh? Okay, good, we've got a board here. Yes, good. Yes, you're up.
So, the ADA parks, right, that's like at Vanderveer, what is the cost of those parks, the accessible parks?
So Gabe's Play Village cost approximately $625,000. That is all toll, that's equipment as well as pour and play, install, the whole. We will be able to do, EMICE is going to have an all-inclusive unit as part of ARPA funding. We anticipate, we kind of have earmarked about $250,000 for that. The reason Gabe's was more expensive is there's a lot of customized pieces. Whereas EMICE is going to be a little more cookie cutter. And when I say cookie cutter, please don't think less quality, less play value. Don't think that. Think, because there's not another one in the Quad Cities, so it's going to be new and unique to us.
Right.
The high cost of an inclusive playground is the pour and play. It literally will cost half of what the playground piece costs. When we put Jungie in, Jungie South, Teresa was able to write a grant for us, and that literally matched the amount. We had $80,000 for the playground. Teresa was able to match that with a SCRE grant? RDA grant of $80,000. And that's how we were able to get a pour and play surface there. So while I would love to have them all pour and play, financially it's a huge hit.
So there's been some discussion about Peterson Park having the baseball diamond removed. It's not utilized ever, as well as potentially putting an ADA park there or utilizing that large space a little better. Has there been any ideas or talks about Peterson Park at all that you recall?
At this time, no, but I would also refer our plan, our movement forward will be largely based on our Parks Master Plan.
Right.
And I will readily admit, I have not looked at Peterson's pages to see what our consultants recommended for that. But no.
Not enough trees for the zip lines.
Right.
I went to Myrtle Beach over Labor Day, and that, not on the beach, but just driving back to the airport was huge. They were, and there's nothing like that. There's something in Illinois, but it had ladders, and you pay, of course, and the zip lines. It was like an obstacle type course above ground, which was really cool.
Speak to that, can't you?
Well, it's not a dead issue. I think the liability issue surfaces beyond anything else. But
Absolutely.
anyhow, we have others who would like to comment on our plans for the future. And so I have Chris, and then Jerry, and then Krista. We'll just move in that way. Is that good? Chris?
I was gonna figure I had talked enough, but then between the stuff we've seen in our travels and the thinking big and the spending millions of dollars comments, I figured I should say something. When I was at Youth Fest at February, I was kind of looking around, and I hadn't really wandered around in there, and I never went to February when it was open when I was a kid as still a zoo. So I really had never explored that park. I hear stories about it. But something that I've always thought that would be interesting to have in a Davenport Park is like a Niabi-style train. And down in the Phoenix area, there's several city parks that have these trains that are run by train enthusiast types, which you can almost have people pay to run the train instead of having to pay them to drive the train. But there's a lot of old men ready to hop on board to be a train engineer. But years ago, when Niabi had to replace their locomotive for their train, it was in the paper that it cost $250,000, and this is like 15 years ago. but it said that their yearly revenue at the time, when I think it was $1 a ride, was $250,000. So they paid for the locomotive in 1 year of income from the train. And that to me seems like a pretty profitable model for what I assume is the most expensive part of the train system. Obviously, building the track and stuff in the first place would be expensive, but yeah, there's several parks down in the Phoenix Metro that have varying sizes and designs of trains that people can pay several dollars to ride on, and the kids get excited about it, the parents get excited about it, and like I said, there's model railroading type groups, large scale model railroading people that get really excited to be involved in that to maybe lower expenses for the parks department. And I would, as a step one, reach out towards those communities that have those and just see what the actual model is that they use, because I don't know if they're leased or how it actually works.
Thanks, Chris. Jerry?
How's the First Tee program going?
About the First Tee program at EMICE?
EMICE, yeah.
I don't have, pardon me?
We're still doing that over at Red Hawk too, am I correct?
Yeah, the First Tee at Red Hawk is business as usual, like they've had the last several years. I don't have numbers for EMICE, but they are meeting there on their regular schedule.
I see them
with the
every day,
class
there's
there.
a lot of kids up there.
Yep, so, I mean, that would be a First Tee question on how their numbers are for it, but I do know what's going on and continuing to work while they're at EMICE.
Can we sometime have, who's the young lady that's, pardon?
Yeah, Sarah Cross,
Could we have her come in sometime and talk about the,
we can invite her to come
First
if
Tee program?
she'd like to come and present a little bit.
yeah,
there
I'd
for
like
her.
to hear everything that she has to say.
All right, we'll reach out,
Sounds good.
yes.
And that would probably help us build a clubhouse at EMICE.
All right. So Clubhouse at EMICE is on the list, right?
Yes, for those of you
Ideas.
who remember in the spring, they added the First Tee programming at EMICE as well, but they're just using like outdoor classroom, the shelter. They come inside under the awning when they need to be, or they cancel a class if it's because of weather. But they're just working around the tee. The tee that we have at EMICE has plenty of room for all the golf lessons and the festivities that are the learning that they do there. But the classroom setting, they've just been using shade under a tree or in the shelter there near the golf course. So,
It's fun to watch them. I just live right down there. So
absolutely.
I watch them and I think it's great. And it looks to me like they get 20, 30 kids up there.
Great.
And that's a good thing. Has Scott done it? It's Scott, am I correct? Scott Hazley? Is it not Hazley, but who's
the new instructor, I'm not.
instructor? Is it Scott?
His name I can't recall his name right now.
I think it is. Doesn't sound right? I thought it was, but
It's not Hazley, but it is Scott.
no, it's not. It's his grandson. It's Jim Hazley's grandson is who it is. Do you know who it is?
I don't know. Corey, maybe?
Well, anyhow,
I just talked to him just a while back. Now, that's what's happening when you get old.
yeah. Well, anyhow, so we've got a clubhouse on the idea thought. Can we move on to Krista?
Sure.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay.
She could have went first.
I like that idea. I like the clubhouse idea.
Thanks, Troy.
I was curious, I'm going to direct this more towards my ward, third ward, and I wanted to talk about bioswales, and I see them in a lot of other states, and we're along the Mississippi. I know Chad was talking about it, and I have parks where there's just, as you know, plumbing issues. So if we could get those in there, at least, if it's already areas where kids don't play, we should establish them as retaining, especially with the runoff that we're dealing with along the Mississippi. I know we have permeable pavement, but if the water doesn't touch, if it if it isn't bioremediated with plants or anything, it's just going back into the Mississippi. And we have to be realistic about that and what kind of permeable pavement that we want as we create more parking zones. And one other thing, last thing is my last trip to Florida, as we're talking about this credit island, swinging from trees. I love that idea. And in fact, Florida, as you know, you have elevated areas in the wetlands, and I love them. I think most people do, and that's why they go to Florida. So I guess the question is how many trees after this area, if we're planting white pines, they're not going to be there next year if there's major flooding. But do we have sustainable resources and trees already there to implement these ideas? Is it even possible? And that was my final question.
Sounds like natural resources could tell us. That was funny. My idea hasn't dropped, but we lost so many trees in Credit Island. Surely there's an area that would be fun. I also will add that, how the glamping goes on, these lovely places where you can camp. Well, you zip line from a treehouse to a treehouse kind of thing, and you could have those for the day for picnics and things. So, that's a big dream as such.
And we also don't have cypress trees, so that's the question is, what trees could we even do this with? How long would it take to plant them? Is it even possible within our age? Is it possible?
Thanks. Jerry, do you want to have a final comment? And we'll actually get out of here a little
No,
early
you
if
can,
we
you
decide that.
can,
Yeah.
the only thing I was gonna say
Yeah.
is that there's plenty of trees down there yet. You could do that if you wanted to. You'd have to do a lot of cleanup
Yeah.
in the back part, and you'd probably have to build a tower somewhere so you can get high enough.
Well, this is a time.
But you can do it.
This is a time to explore.
Yeah.
Now you know. Now you know. Yes, yes, yes. So are there other discussions? This has been fun to just start to open up our thoughts and to share them. So we will keep putting that idea in our next 2 meetings to hopefully come up with some thoughts. And we don't have to have the details. We just have to have the concept, right? Yeah. Who, what, when, and if staff really likes it, they might recruit grant writing and resources to make it doable, or we go out and find money to support it. So this has been good discussion. Any other comments? If not, we could certainly entertain a motion for, adjournment if that's what we want to do at this point. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn our July meeting. All those saying yes indicate so.
Yes.
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 Anybody want to stay overnight here? No. Thank you so much for our time, and we will see you either at Party in the Park. There are 2 more besides tonight, and have a great rest of the summer. It's going so fast.